Hey everybody, it's Mike Eswich, co-founder of Teaching.com, Typing.com, and Edutyping.com. We basically are so proud to bring this show, Ask Edutyping, to you every single week through Facebook, and it's also available on our blog. And what we do each week is we provide teachers and students with creative lessons and ideas to start the show, and then we'll field questions from our user audience, both from teachers and students from around the United States and around the world, where we hopefully will be able to answer those questions and make keyboarding more engaging for teachers and students alike, as well as to infuse some fun in the learning of how to keyboard, which is by far the most important technology skill you'll ever learn. And once you learn it, it's something you'll use for life. So if we don't get to answer your questions live on the show, please know that you can reach us through hashtag AskEdutyping through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if we don't get to your questions live, someone will definitely respond to your email questions, and I personally review every single one of them and may answer it myself as well. So we start each week with a keyboarding tip or lesson of the week. This lesson that I'm about to describe to you is just was recently posted on our blog. So here's a printout of a PDF of the lesson. It's titled Creative Manuscripting. My students used to love this. I taught keyboarding at the high school and middle school level for 17 years, and this allows students to take a break from the keyboarding program and being online and the day-to-day routine of doing lesson by lesson. This allows them to really take a break from that. Now, the one thing to point out is that this lesson requires students to know the 26 letters of the alphabet, so it's more appropriate for probably older students who are a little bit more advanced, but it's perfect for this time of school year. We're reaching the end of April, where most of your students who may have started keyboarding in September have become pretty proficient. So that's why I picked it for this week, because it allows the students to use all the keys and symbols that they've learned thus far. So here's what you'll need to play creative manuscripting. Basically, ask your students to, as a homework assignment, or you could do this during class, is to scour newspapers and magazines, as well as the internet or news feeds, and pick a news article that is interest to them. So it could be on pop culture, or it could be on fashion, could be on planets, whatever their interest level is. Just make sure you stress that the content within the article that they have to bring into the classroom is appropriate for the classroom, because we all know that you have those students once in a while that bring in inappropriate material. So you want to make sure you as the teacher proctors this exercise to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then once your students bring in an article, they will open up any word processing program like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. And if you're using Edutyping, we have a built-in word processor inside the program as well, called OpenType. So any of those will work. And to begin the exercise, we just ask students to type the title, and then they'll do a byline, so it's by the student's name, and they'll begin typing the article. Now here's the secret to making sure that not only the students are reinforcing their keyboarding skills, but also are reading the article, so it really reinforces reading and keyboarding at the same time. As they complete each paragraph, and you want to put a minimum, or you want to ask the students to bring in a minimum of at least a one-page document, so that you can cater it to the students who are really efficient at keyboarding, as well as those who may be a little bit slower. But you want to have enough content for them to work through it. So after each paragraph, what you will ask students to do is they'll add their own custom sentence that makes the paragraph make sense. So if they just were reading about the 9 planets and they were reading about the sun and how far away we are, they'll need to add some kind of a sentence that helps that paragraph make sense in context. And this forces them to have to actually read what they're typing. And then when they're completed with the assignment, you can have them print it out. So they'll print out their keyboarded news article, and then they'll staple the article itself to that, so that you can double check for keyboarding accuracy, as well as that they've added that custom sentence to the end of each paragraph. So that's called creative manuscripting. Hope you'll employ that into your classroom. Students love it, and it gives you a great opportunity to not only reinforce keyboarding, but also to have them do some reading, and keeps them interested and engaged in the program. So we will take our first question of this week on Ask Edutype, and I'm joined off camera by my colleague Rennie. So Rennie, if you would read this week's first question.
Thanks, Mike. Uh, Joan Williams asks, why can typing with accuracy and speed be difficult?
Well, Joan, I mean, that's a pretty general question. Why can it be difficult to keyboard quickly as well as accuracy? I'll bring it back to the basics, basically. It's just like when you learned how to ride a bicycle. You started with training wheels. Learning how to keyboard quickly is something you shouldn't even be concerned about, especially in the beginning of learning how to type. The most important thing you can focus on is accuracy. Because, and in my previous show, I used the same analogy. If I can pitch a baseball 150 miles an hour, but I throw a ball every time, I'm really not of any value to the baseball team. But if I could throw a pitch 80 miles an hour, which isn't as fast, obviously, as 150, but I throw a strike 75 or 80% of the time, I'm very valuable. So focus on accuracy first, because that really lets your mind begin to do what we call muscle memory, which is your mind will begin to tell your fingers where they need to be placed at all times. And in time, that memory and that kind of connection between the brain and your eyes and your fingers will all start to work in harmony, and then the speed will begin to pick up. So that's a great question, but try to keep that analogy that I gave you about the baseball pitcher in mind as you continue your journey of learning what I consider the most foundational and basic and important skill, which is keyboarding. Okay, let's take our next question. Rennie?
Diego Bravo asks, is there any reason to learn proper typing posture if I already have a good words per minute?
Great question, Diego, and I'm going to rephrase that. Basically, to summarize Diego's question, he's already considered to be a pretty good typist, has good speed and good accuracy. I'll make that assumption. So he asks, is it important to have good posture? Well, first of all, it is very important, no matter what, whether you're keyboarding or just sitting at your desk in any classroom, and eventually when you're in an office, it's very important to always sit with your feet flat, your back arched, and if you're at the keyboard, you want to have your palms resting near the space bar, but not touching it, so that you get that fluid movement. But the main reason to have good posture and technique, not only at keyboarding, but just anytime you're sitting down, is that your lower back can begin to become very slouched, which over time can actually fuse it so it's bending the wrong way. And that, my friends, is very painful. It doesn't happen at a younger age because your bones are much more flexible, but through life, you really have to stay focused on that. And you always want to have your feet flat on the floor as well. And the reason for that is that it causes your back to keep that nice arc in it when you're sitting. So basically, we call that ergonomics. And many chairs, especially in schools, are not designed ergonomically correct. They're made out of that solid plastic, and they don't have a nice support for your back. But if you remember to kind of always sit up straight, arch your back, keep your feet flat, you'll stay injury-free, and your posture will be, when you're standing and walking or running or playing sports, will always kind of be in great alignment. So that's a great, very different kind of a question, Diego. So thanks for submitting that this week. So we have time for one more question, and I'm going to have Rennie read that. And again, if we don't get to him on air, you can reach us through hashtag AskEduTyping through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So final question, Rennie?
Maia Romano from Teaching.com asks, what is the average typing speed for a 12-year-old?
Maia, I saw your question come in, and I thought it was really important to field this. So I scoured the internet. I tried to find some type of answer for what the average words per minute. I mean, the fastest typer in the world, keyboards at about 150 to 160 words, but the world record is actually 220 words per minute, done by a woman known as Barbara Blackburn. She broke that record in the early 90s. But to answer your question, for a 12-year-old, what I did do was I looked at odd data that we have available, and we can't really see everybody's age and grade level, but I was able to look at a 5th and a 6th grade set of statistics, and it looks like the average is about 18 words to 20 words per minute, which is really, really good. So depending upon where you are, you can kind of set that as your benchmark. And remember, that's just a number that I picked up. I have no idea if those students had learned how to previously type in years before that. I was assuming that, they started at the beginning of the year and then somewhere around halfway through the year is the statistics I looked at. So you can easily expect as a 12-year-old to reach and exceed 25 or 30, even 40 words per minute. So I hope that helps. It's not the exact answer you were asking for, but I was able to come up with some type of a range. So that's all we have time for this week, folks. And again, you can reach us through hashtag AskEduTyping on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Submit those questions, visit the blog, download these cool activities that we take the time to upload every single week, and I will see you next week on Ask EduTyping. Take care, everybody.